Alright, welcome to the daily internet video. Disregard this on the side. I was not using AI to get help. I would never do that. Now, what we're going to be talking about today, because I just decided on it, is forms in Next.js. In fact, if I bring this window over, let's take a look what this form looks like. So I'm using inspect element here. We can actually just go back to non-inspected element. And this is our contact page. I'm just going to type in a name. And as you can see, I can tab around on this form pretty nice. Type in my name and then my phone number. And I'm going to leave that blank. It's not required. And then the message, I made that required. So I'm going to say, you know what I'm going to say, actually? This is a test message. That's what I'm going to say. And then I can even tab down to the submit button and hit enter. And the cool thing is, it actually shows a submitting state while it's submitting. And then, as we can see, there's a success message. And this is not fucking easy, dude. You would think it would just be, oh, you just kind of hook it up and it works. Not the case. Not the case. Well, I suppose it's kind of the case, but it's kind of fucked, dude. And this is the shittiest form. Let's see this contact form task. There's some stuff I'm gonna show you, but actually, status message is done. But being able to select from a drop-down list, that's way harder than I thought it would be. Adding client-side validation of the values, that's a lot harder than I thought it would be. Server-side validation, I couldn't get that shit working. And then, and this part, I won't even try to explain that. It's not really relevant. Now, let's kind of talk about how this works. I'm gonna try to understand it just by talking about it because, not that I got AI to help me with it, but let's just say I had an outside consultant. Okay, that's what we'll say. So we have our function contact form. It's actually just a component, and that is this box right here. Okay, this whole box is contact form, and then if we scroll down, then we're gonna find contact section, and that's this, and then right at the bottom we're dropping in contact form. Okay, so that's basically what it looks like. And yeah, let's get into this. So first time I built this form, I just kind of laid it out with divs and stuff because I wanted to see what it would look like. Now, what you do, as far as styling goes, is you create a label. Okay. Oh, what the fuck? I'm so stupid, dude. All right. Create a label, and that's this. So it's just like, a p tag or whatever, but it's a label tag. You know what? No, that's incorrect because there's a p right here. Anyways, you can basically ignore me for the most part, but we have a label, and that goes right over our input, which has a lot of different attributes applied to it. One of these is required, so that means if I try to leave that unfilled out, and I hit submit, it's going to say, please fill out this field. Now, this is pretty ugly. It doesn't really match. I'm going to try to replace this in the future. I think it would be cool if it highlighted in orange and then the message down here said, hey, fucknut, the name is required. But that's too advanced. On change. So value equals name and then on change set name. These are related to this. So we're using use state here. And essentially what this does is it allows us to manage the state of the fields from the backend, if that makes sense. So what we're doing is, and I'll show you what goes on the backend, but after when a form is submitted, I can actually get rid of these logging statements. When a form is submitted, we're running it through our backend process, and then once it's done, we're setting the phone, the name, the email, and the notes to be empty. so the form resets, because it looks weird if it doesn't reset, all right? And then we're also setting the success message, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, basically, we're using this use state to reset the values for name, phone, email, all the fields, so they reset, okay? We have our placeholder value, and that's, you know, I think pretty obvious what that is. And then the type is tell, and for the email, it's email, and for the name, it's text, okay? So those are types. I don't actually know what the type field does. It seems pretty fucking useless for telephone because it doesn't actually do anything. It didn't do anything at first, okay? It didn't validate or anything like that. I could just put in SDF, you know, when you're like spamming on your keyboard just to like fill something in really quick. Like, shout out if you remember a SDF video. But basically, you can just put this in the phone field and it would work. Yeah, and then we have our form submit button, and just so you can see that, I created a new button. I just copied my primary button, but we have type is set to submit, and then disabled is set to pending. And so we use the form status, pending as, I guess, true. Yeah, so pending would be true if the form value pending is true. So then it would say submitting, and it would disable the button. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, if you're watching this video, I apologize. The real reason I made this video is I want to explain it to myself. I don't understand it. But I will say it might have been helpful if there was a video like this when I was doing this, because, not gonna lie, I definitely thought about killing myself. Okay. Then we have this cool feature that basically, you know, I'm not going to get into this part of it, the bowels of this function, so to speak. I don't know how the fuck it works. What I do know is that these two together make it so that I can't put anything except for a number in this field. And if we spam the number row on my keyboard, we can see that it actually automatically formats the phone number. Fuck yes, dude. Every form needs this. And, yeah, I don't know. That's just fucking badass. So, anyways, is that all there is to it? Yeah, formatting the phone number, setting up the forms, and then handling submit. Dude, I was getting so pissed off with how this works because I was like trying to submit it and I couldn't figure out. So basically, this is how a form works right now in React, okay? This is how you want to have it work, based on kind of their documentation and other people, what they've said. So, your form, the whole form tag, should have an attribute called action. And sometimes, like, I guess in older versions you would have an onSubmit attribute, which would look like this. And you'll see, if I change it to onSubmit and then hover over that, it says, basically you can't do that because onSubmit passes an event to our function, whereas action is a function and it takes a object of form data. So you don't have to do anything with form data. It's just there. You don't even have to import the form data type, I don't think. It's just there, okay? So action, you want to make sure it's set to action. Don't fuck with onSubmit. It'll work. I guess it's not the newest way to do it. The newest and the best, you know, way to do it. Damn, I need a haircut. That's fucked. Okay, so what we're doing is we have an action and we're passing in the name of our function, which is handle submit. So this is the function that actually handles the entire submission process. And as you can see, it's asynchronous because we're awaiting the backend process, and it takes form data as a parameter. And then all we're doing, and by the way, so I have this to do here. I like to put these in all caps because I didn't see them. We have this to do here, basically validate form data. So you would use a library like Zod, which I don't really understand how it works, But it would look at the forms whenever someone submits it, and it would, I guess it's better than writing rejects or some shit like that. So yeah, essentially, you can add in client-side form validation, which gives the user a faster response. So instead of waiting for the server to get a phone number and be like, hey, this is a bad phone number, and then returning that message to the front end, all you do is, all you do is you validate it on the front end, and then basically it's instant. Okay, you don't have to make a request to the back end. So yeah, that's something I need to do. As we can see, probably, yeah, that was on my list, client-side validation. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Dude, yeah, I was getting super pissed because I was doing like console log. I was trying to log like this starting, and I couldn't see it, and I kept opening up the logs, dude, or the terminal, and then I realized it's client side, so it shows up in the console, the browser console. I was like, God, I'm so stupid, dude. Okay. And now that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of realizing that, like, this is kind of genius, dude, because with React, we have this function, I guess, where you can use, like, useState to have it bring in, like, a default value. I would imagine. Yeah. So if I refresh... Oh. Can't do Command-Shift-R with Loom. It pauses. So anyways, you could pass in a default value, but then it gives you this function to set the value. So you're essentially declaring a variable, you're declaring a function to set that variable, and then you're declaring an initial value for that variable. I'm just understanding this, but that makes sense. So then it's pretty easy because we can get a response back from our backend function, and then we can say if response.status, or yeah, maybe it's success, then we can return a different response, or we can add, like, you know, an else and set the success message to be something else. That's pretty fucking sick, dude. And that's actually way simpler than it seemed, dude. Today I was trying to do this, and it was just so over my head. I always get AI... Fuck, dude, I admit it. No. I always get AI to write, you know, this React shit. Because I haven't really used React. But yeah, this doesn't actually look that bad. I mean, I still don't understand this. Well, hang on. If you want to skip ahead, now's the time. But I'm gonna explain this. So, format phone number. Basically, what we're doing is whenever the phone number changes on change, we're running this function. So every time a keystroke or something is recorded in the phone field, we're calling handle phone change. And what that's doing is we're taking in the event, and we're pulling out the value, and we're running format phone number and setting it to the formatted phone number. And then this formatted phone number is, I mean, yeah, that's pretty... All it's doing is literally just fucking formatting it. This is sick, dude. Damn! Dude, if you're watching this video trying to understand how to use React and forms and form state, this is goated. This is actually goated. This is cool now. I'm interested now. Now, as promised, let's get on to the back end. I have this little TypeScript file called action. Basically, how this works is this is a client component. I have used client at the top, but you know what? I really don't know shit about. I really don't know shit about fuck. What I do know is that with this, we can call a backend function, and this is in a separate file. So we have this function called submit contact form in this file, and we have use server at the top, which tells Next.js or React, or, you know, it fucking tells the system, right? Hey, this is a server action. Don't hoist it into the browser. Make an HTTP call to the backend and run this code rather than bringing it to the front end, right? Because on this one, we're going to be using our Supabase API key, not the anon key, like the actual key. Yeah, so basically we don't want to show that on the front end. Now, all we're doing is, I mean, this is pretty, what do you call it? Fucking, use case specific, I suppose. Basically, we just have this function. I'm taking in form data and then data about the website itself. And then, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah, I'm just basically sending that data off the contact form. So I have a list of like destinations for these leads, either a webhook, an email address, or a phone number. And it's just iterating through the array of endpoints or destinations, being like, is it a webhook? Is it a phone number? Is it an email? And then it takes different actions, right? Because if it's a phone number, we're sending a text. If it's an email, you know, I don't know why I'm explaining this. It's pretty fucking obvious. We're just sending the shit away. That is the easiest part. This shit took me 15 minutes, you know, with some fucking around in between. And, yeah, this is the easy part, okay? And then we're just inserting it into the database. And what we do is we're returning an object that goes straight to the front end saying success true. It's actually not that complicated when you look at it, you know? But it feels so fucking complicated at first, dude. Like, I was just staring into the void. This shit literally took me all day. I was not working on all day. I was like mostly fucking, what the fuck was I doing, dude? I was like procrastinating. I was like just not getting shit done. But yeah, it's actually not that complicated. So, yeah, again, this function is really only to handle client-side validation, to get things set up, and so that I can pass in data specific to this website. If this was a contact form on your own website, where you're just like, you know, it doesn't really, like, you know where everything's going. I'm only doing this because the backend function is going to run for all different websites, and we need to know each website, the leads are going to go somewhere else, obviously, right? But what you actually can do is our function is called submit contact form. I think we've imported it. Yeah, so we've imported submit contact form. One thing you can do is you can straight up just do action equals submit contact form, and that'll work. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck was it. Okay, yeah. I think this is the best way, because then you can kind of handle states and stuff in between. But yeah, hopefully this video is helpful.